The Boy Scouts of America, one of the country's largest and oldest youth organizations, decided on Thursday to break 103 years of tradition by allowing openly gay members into its ranks. And that is the story. And that's from a secular news organization. And that is the story. Boy Scouts of America yesterday, 1,400 delegates meeting in the Dallas, Texas area. And the big item on the agenda was this resolution that basically said no youth may be denied membership in the Boy Scouts of America on the basis of sexual orientation or preference alone. And when the vote was over, more than 60% of those delegates, 1,400 delegates, voted in favor of allowing open homosexuals to be members of Boy Scout troops.
60%.
60%. And, Randy Sharp of AFA Special Projects was at that meeting yesterday to cover it for us. And going into the meeting, he had actually thought that perhaps the vote would go the other way. But I tell you, I think it's just a reflection of the culture that we are in, Dan, today. And what it amounts to is an open rebellion against God. It's really interesting. Boy Scouts issued a press release last night. They said the resolution also reinforces that Scouting is a youth program and any sexual conduct, whether heterosexual or homosexual, by youth of Scouting age is contrary to the virtues of Scouting. Well, the Scouting used to have as its virtues that it was based on Scripture, based on scriptural principles. In fact, that's part of the Scout oath, is to do my duty to God. And it's amazing that they would issue that statement that basically glosses that over. But last night, obviously, pro-family groups from across the country were responding. Tim Wildman, the president of AFA, saying the leadership of the Boy Scouts of America has failed the young men it represents. AFA decries the decision today and is deeply saddened that Randall Stevenson, the CEO of AT&T and an executive board member of the Boy Scouts and other members of the BSA board, have overthrown the time-honored values of this century-old organization. And you know what, Dan? It's only a matter of time, I believe this, that you're going to have leaders of Boy Scout troops open homosexuals.
Oh, absolutely.
You cannot justify, now with this thinking, the Boy Scouts cannot justify denying open homosexuals into the leadership.
No. And it's going to happen soon, very soon. Yeah. It is just, I think also, the culture, you mentioned that, this again, representing the culture here in America. But, I don't want to, and I think you're absolutely right about that, Fred, the rejection of God and God's principles. But I also think that it represents a culture that we have in this country, and I talked about this earlier in the first segment. It represents a culture that we have in America in leadership across the board of a lack of courage. We have no courage. We have just men and women in leadership roles, whether they be on corporate boards, whether they be in legislative bodies in states and the national legislative body on Capitol Hill, regardless. We have no courage. We have no one. We are losing men and women that have courage of their convictions to stand up for what they know in their heart of hearts is right and true. And it is so sad that we are losing generations of courageous men and women. And with that will come the fall of the nation. That is not an overstatement. That's not hyperbole. It is a fact. That is what's going to continue to happen. And as I think about this decision, and I think about my maybe kind of overused statement that I make on a regular basis about spineless weasels in Congress or anywhere else, I just think it becomes evident that the lack of courage has permeated every walk of leadership, with the exception of a few great pro-family organizations like American Family Association, Family Research Council, and a few others. And I hope, I pray and hope, and I hope everybody does this, that organizations like the Southern Baptist Convention, like other church organizations that have supported their communities and the Boy Scouts of America and their communities, I hope that they have the courage to say we can no longer support this, because not to hurt Boy Scouts of America, because it's the right thing to do. And I hope they'll do it.
I think
I have my doubts.
Leaders of the Southern Baptist Convention and the Assemblies of God issuing statements last night about this, and I think there's no question. The Assemblies of God said the new policy will lead to a mass exodus. Now, that is not an overstatement.
No.
Randy Sharp has pointed out over the last couple of months, the scouting movement in Canada made this very same decision 15 years ago. And their membership has gone from 300,000 to less than 75,000 today.
Because moral depravity equals financial, hardship. I mean, it's going to go. There's going to be financial consequence because of their decision here. And, that's what's happened in civilizations throughout the centuries. It's what's happening here in America. That's what's going to happen to these organizations. And I hope they stick to their guns on that. I applaud the Assemblies of God for coming out so quickly on that. I hope they are going to be 100% supportive of the mass exodus that we refer to. And I hope others come out as well against that, because we sure need some standing up for these things. And at least in Christian circles, if it's not going to be anywhere else. But
I was rather shocked, Dan, by a statement coming out from the Mormon Church last night. They posted a statement on their website saying sexual orientation has never been and is not now something that precludes young boys from being in Mormon Scout troops. Church officials said as long as youth refrain from premarital sex, a strict church rule, they can participate in Boy Scouts. So that is their decision. They are going to stay there. But listen, we want to leave on a positive note this morning. One of the leaders, the conservative leaders who fought against this resolution is John Stemberger, an Eagle Scout and leader of a coalition of people who oppose the change. He's the founder of On My Honor. Obviously, he said, very sad and disappointed with yesterday's decision. However, he announced in his statement last night that his group and other like-minded organizations will meet in Louisville, Kentucky next month to discuss creating a new character development organization for boys.
Good for him.
So that's what you do.
That's what you do.
The Boy Scouts have turned away from America, from Christianity in America. They've made that decision. And so now you don't just sit by, twiddle your thumbs, and say, oh, me, oh, my. I think it's a great attitude to have. We'll start another group. We'll start another group based on Christian principles. And I tell you what, that group will be successful.
It will. Good for him.
Yeah.
I appreciate that so much. I had a chance to hear him. I don't often get a chance to listen to the programs, but I heard him last week with Tim on Today's Issues. And so I really appreciate that he's doing that. Great stuff.
All right.
Thanks, Fred.
You take care. Have a good weekend.
I appreciate you.